And
And
everybody watched after everyone else. That's just
yes.
the way it was.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, what brought you to doing what you do today?
Yeah. So, after I retired and went into Fortune 500 and started, a risk management division for the corporation I worked with, it was about 2.5, 3 years after retirement. There was a major layoff, and all of a sudden, I found myself smack dab in the middle of my divorce. And what was I supposed to do next? I was already in about, I don't know, 8, 9 months into my recovery journey. I'm a recovering alcoholic and prescription drug addict. And basically, next thing you know, Our Protector LLC was formed a year ago, this past December now. And I started writing the first book, God Only Knows When the Devil Comes to Your Second Chance at Life. That one came together pretty quickly. At that time, I was a year sober and, fighting for my children, everything else that came along with the divorce. While I still was, basically being a new entrepreneur, you're unemployed per se. And really, just for the first time in my life, kind of out in the wilderness wandering. Next thing you know, basically, we write a second book, The Icarus Effect, the highs and lows of our emotions. We all have feelings. That was kind of my, starting to come out of the valley slightly and realizing that I could no longer be a boy and continue to tell lies and live a life that just, my moral character was corroded, eroded, just completely disarrayed towards the tail end of my alcoholism and my prescription drug addiction. Well, the cool thing is when you write books, people want to hear what you have to say. So you start speaking on stages. First started with the Coeur d'Alene Summit last summer, and that was wonderful to share the stage with people like Tim Tebow and Ed Milet and many others, and very neat to learn about development in such a way. I was always doing talent management and leader development in the military, but in the corporate side of the house, there wasn't as much, it wasn't a focus. And I kind of I did what I did with those who are on my team, but overarching, I think there was definitely this missing link. Kind of in my thesis when I was at the military command and general staff college, Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, I did a thesis on leadership development, the importance of communication, trust, and legacy, where that showed basically the Army had a certain way that we would counsel or develop, but it really wasn't a very specific back and forth, or really having the ability to listen to your subordinate. And that communication style then would create the necessary trust that would show the proper way to do development, and then therefore you create a legacy. And the general officers over time and space that did that well, they had a great lineage and legacy of other leaders underneath them, and those that went on, and obviously once they retired and so forth. And now, as I continue to cultivate the business, I start to reach out to old military buddies that maybe are still in, or some have retired, or some got out along the way. And it's really neat to hear them go back 5, 10, 15 years whenever we did work together. And, I was always senior to them, retiring as lieutenant colonel. But they basically were like, what you did, I didn't have other leaders do that. And I took that on then as, how I mentored, my subordinates and so forth. And it's just really neat to see that basically come in full circle. And now what I do today and love so much in the business is what I was always doing